Hey YouTube, it's Autistic Hero 95, and today we are going to do a Black Panther Wakanda Forever spoiler review. So if you haven't seen this film, you should definitely save it in your watch later videos playlist, or hit that like button and save it. And when you finish watching this video, you can come back to my video and watch my spoiler review of this film itself. So let's talk about Black Panther Wakanda Forever, because this is a spoiler review, because I already did a non-spoiler review on my TikTok page. If you want to take a look, I'll put a link in the description box below the video so you can watch my initial thoughts of the film itself. But here I'm going to talk about the nitty-gritty of the film itself and some spoilers, because we're going to talk about some certain things that I liked and certain things that I didn't like of the film. But anyways, this is probably one of my favorite Phase 4 films, and probably one of my favorite sequels of all time. It's right up there with my favorites of Toy Story 2, Godfather Part 2, Empire Strikes Back, you name it. It's up there with those classic sequel films, and they just did it perfectly. Ryan Coogler did a fantastic job of just doing what he can with this film, and just amazing, because this film is so awesome. Because this is a good tribute to Chadwick Boseman, and a good movie to understand to understand grief, sorrow, and loss within the people that you lost, basically. And that was a great way of actually just handling that. And this film, obviously, I was on a journey with Shuri, because I lost people in my life, basically, and this film helped me actually realize that people are not gone, basically. They're in your hearts, basically, forever and ever and ever, basically. So yeah, even if they're not here, they're basically in your heart, basically. And that's what beautifully captured this film, basically, was the tribute to Chadwick, and the understanding of grief within Shuri, the Queen, and many other Wakandans within this film. And this was a beautifully good film. And 5 minutes into the film, you are definitely going to cry, because it's just this film is an emotional roller coaster of happy, sad, laughter, but mostly sad, because you're basically feeling what all the characters in Wakanda are feeling after the death of their king, basically. And I really like how they didn't disclose his cancer in this film. I thought that was a really good understanding of just keeping it basically Wakandan, death, basically, and just saying that this was an undisclosed disease that he died from, basically. And I like how they did that, because they honored that cancer is basically not good, and basically will kill you if you don't treat it correctly. And basically, I like how they did that with this film. Undisclosed disease was the best way to go for the death of T'Challa within this film. Really awesome. I do like that. And I did like all the lighter moments of silence for Chadwick Boseman, because it was just so cool to just get that, sad moments within it, obviously. But let's talk about the other parts of the film that I really enjoyed. Personally, Shuri and Namor the Samaritan. Namor is my favorite MCU villain, because he is just so cool. I really like that he actually wants to protect his village, but also doing harm to others, basically, because he wants to protect his own people, basically. And I like that Namor is basically indigenous, basically, and I like that Latino is playing an indigenous person from Central America, because then it involves more cultures within the MCU, besides just keeping it basically just lighter skinned people. And that's what I liked about the film. I like how they kept all the cultures within the MCU, which is just amazing how they actually captured two cultures within the same within the same context of humans, basically. And I like how Namor is basically wants to actually protect his people, but also wants to do harm. But what I like about it is I like that he wants to protect his people. What I do not like is basically that he is doing it for the wrong reasons, and that's basically what I do not like out of it, his character. But enough said. I think he's a really strong MCU villain, because he wants to protect his villain. He wants to protect his people, while also doing harm to others, because he just wants to do that. And also, he wants Wakandans to actually join up and basically help his village, basically, get back to where they want to be, basically, a healthy society, basically, help them actually just do that, obviously. And that's basically what I like out of his character. But I just didn't like the fact that he was using his protection for his people to do bad things and kill, Riri Williams, which is obviously Ironheart. Well, let's talk about her, for example, because we talked so much about Namor because I like his character. Namor, basically, if you did not understand what I was saying. Anyway, but Riri Williams' character as Ironheart was something that I really enjoyed. I like how she really balances the story itself and not just being just the next character that I think they're gonna pass the mantle to the next Iron Man. Basically, I like how she basically was set up as basically the child that the scientist that they need to find, so that way Namor doesn't get her basically, and that was basically what they needed to do with Shuri, and Okoye needed to do in this film as well too. And I like that a lot, that her character played a significant role within the story and not just a new character that they introduced to the MCU. Because she is a new character in the MCU, but she's not a new character for comic book enthusiasts who read the comic books every day. But anyways, I like Riri Williams' story. I think she really just is welcome into the cast of characters that are already established, and she's a really good person for Shuri to actually help out, because she's basically lost within the whole entire movie because of her brother's death. So she basically is using she's using Riri as a way to actually say, oh, I'm going to use you as my coping mechanism, and that's basically what she is using Riri for, and that's basically an awesome thing to actually uphold. And I applaud Ryan Coogler for actually doing that as well too, and I actually see that in the film after seeing it 3 times. And let's talk about the performances in the film, because that is also the best thing about the film. Angela Bassett kill it as Queen Ramonda in the film. I like her performance basically when she was yelling at Okoye that she was going to let her go because she, didn't do her duty to protect Shuri, and she just yelled her heart out, basically. And that was a great performance of Angela Bassett's career. Knocked it out of the park. And she did pretty awesome as well, too. Letitia Wright as Shuri was amazing as well, too. She did great performances as well, too. And she was really just a stellar performance. But M'Baku, Winston Duke's character was funny as hell. And I really like his character because he was just so funny. Every time he was on screen, he was like that. He's the comic relief of the character of Wakanda Forever. Someone that actually brings in a little bit of happiness and laughter to us when we see this movie, because as I said, it's an emotional roller coaster of emotions within the film. And Winston Duke's character M'Baku was just so funny. Every time he was on screen, he was very funny. And, he played very seriously as well, too, but he also was funny, and I really liked it as well. I can't stress this enough that this film is actually a really good film, and definitely a must to see on the big screen in IMAX. I highly recommend this film. Now let's go to some of the stuff I didn't like out of the film. And one of them is basically Martin Freeman's character. He's back because, you have to bring him back from the first film into the second film to see what he's been up to since Black Panther came out in 2018. We got to see him back as, the secret agent, basically. And then we get to see Julia Louis-Dreyfus' character, Fonty, basically, in this film. We only get to see her, basically, in a couple of scenes, but her scenes with Martin Freeman's character were not my favorite out of this film, basically, because I did not like it. I totally did not like it because it was just, out of context within the story, but I understand because, the CIA, the operatives basically were killed by Namor's army, basically, and their army is fearsome. Like, they cannot get destroyed by anybody unless you know how to destroy them. It's just, wow. Okoye fighting with one of them was just a blast to see that on screen. It's just amazing. And I didn't really like a lot of Martin Freeman and Fonty's story. I think they were just there just to set up another, MCU project and that kind of stuff. But their involvement in the film was not my favorite, and I didn't really like it because it brought me out of context with the character, with the story itself. But as I said before, this movie is amazing. I really enjoyed it. Riri Williams was an awesome character to add into the Wakanda Forever storyline and the cast of characters, and I did like that they explored grief, sorrow, and just sadness within the characters of Shuri, Ramonda, and Nakia. And Lupita Nyong'o's character was amazing as well, and Okoye. Just amazing performances, an amazing story about grief, sorrow, and sadness, as well as actually giving us a great villain, Namor. Riri Williams as a side character was just so awesome. Everything about this film was just amazing. You have to see it on the big screen. See it in IMAX or Dolby Cinema. You have to see this film. If you haven't seen it, you should definitely see it. I give it 4.5 stars because it's just one of my personal favorite films of Phase 4 and my favorite. I think one of my favorite sequels of all time. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video that I do on YouTube or TikTok. See ya, you guys. Take care. Wakanda forever!